Hello Reception and welcome to Monday's lesson. For today we are going to be listening to the story Pip and Posy, and then we are going to be changing the toys that they play with. So in this lesson you will need your listening ears, you'll need a super memory, and I need you to use your voices so you can help decide which toys Pip and Posy play with, and you can help me retell the story. Okay, are we ready for our story? When we're listening to the story, I want us to have a little think about what is happening. I want you to remember that stories are broken up into 5 sections. So the first part of the story is called the beginning part of the story. And in this part, we will find out where the story is set and who the characters are. Then we'll have the build up to the problem. And then in the third part of the story, we will have the problem. Then next, the problem is solved. And finally, in the last part of the story, that is where we find out how the characters are feeling. And it's called the ending of the story. Okay, are we ready for our story? Remember our song. It's story time, it's story time. Look, listen, wow. So Pip and Posy are part of a collection of books. In the homework, there is a link to listen to another story if you like this one. This story is called Pip and Posy and the Big Balloon. And this book is written by Axel Scheffler. This is Pip, who is one of the main characters, and this is Posy. Pip had a balloon, a big red balloon of his very own. He liked it a lot. I can see his big red balloon. But another thing that we're going to be thinking about are other words which are more exciting than big. So we could say a massive red balloon, a gigantic red balloon, a huge red balloon. Oh, I like that, a huge red balloon. Pip had a balloon, a huge red balloon of his very own. Can you join in with me? Pip had a balloon, a huge red balloon of his very own. He's having lots of fun with that balloon in the park. I can see that he's running. He showed it to Posy. Posy is his friend who is a mouse. Pip is a rabbit and Posy is a mouse. She also liked it a lot. They decided to take it for a walk. I love how the balloon is floating in the air. I wonder if you've ever seen balloons before, maybe at a birthday party. Everyone who saw the big red balloon smiled. I'm going to change that. Everybody who saw the massive red balloon smiled. I know every time that I see balloons, it always makes me feel really excited. But then, oh, I think this is the problem in the story. But then, by mistake, Pip let go. Oh dear, I can see that he's let go of the huge balloon. It's because he was talking to Posy about the toys in the shop. It floated into the air. Oh dear. They looked so shocked. Pip and Posy chased it. I can see them running. Can we all help run after the balloon? They're running as fast as they can, but it floated higher and higher. I wonder what's going to happen next in the story. So it's floating away. Oh dear. And then bang, it popped. Oh, can you see where it's popped? I can see that on the branch of the tree, the balloon has popped with a huge bang. I really don't think they're going to be able to fix that balloon. Do you? Oh, and Pip and Posy say, oh dear. People say, oh dear, when something's gone wrong or they're feeling disappointed. Oh dear, can you join in? Oh dear. Pip was very, very sad. Sad. I can think of more interesting words than sad. Can you? I can think of the word miserable. Can we all pull an expression with our faces to show that we are feeling miserable? Miserable. He cried and cried and cried. I can see that he's feeling very upset. He's so upset that he's laying on the floor. He doesn't know what to do with himself. Poor Pip. I can see from the expressions on his face, he's feeling so miserable. Oh, then Posy had an idea. This is the part of the story where the problem is fixed. I can see that Posy has two things in her hands. I wonder what they could be. I think they're new toys for them to play with. She said that they should blow bubbles. All the bubbles floated away. I can see from Pip's facial expression that he's feeling really jubilant, excited and happy. And they popped, but that's okay because they knew that bubbles popped and they didn't mind, because that's what bubbles are supposed to do. Oh, look at those bubbles. Hooray, they all shouted. Can you shout hooray too? Hooray! Good joining in. And then I can see at the back of the book, there is a blurb. For the extension task tomorrow, you may choose to write a blurb of your very own. Remember, a blurb is a summary of the book. Can you remember at the beginning of the lesson, I asked you to think about the events which happened in the story. So first of all, I wanted you to think about the beginning, the build up to the problem, how the problem was fixed, and then the last part of the story, the ending. I have had a think about what happened in the story, and I have put it in the Boxing Up map. We have used these before in class and for home learning. So if we look at the Boxing Up map, it is broken up into 5 sections, and I have labelled these with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1 is the beginning of the story. Number 2 is the build up to the problem. Number 3 is the problem. Number 4 is when the problem is fixed. And number 5 is the ending to the story. Now, all together, I want you to help me think about what happened in each part of the story. So for number 1, what was the beginning of the story? Who was the main character? Pip the rabbit was the main character. And can you remember what exciting new toy that he was really proud of, which he was playing with? Can you remember what it was? Yes, it was a big red balloon, but we like the word instead of big, an enormous balloon, because it looks so gigantic to me. And then we move on to section 2. If you have a look at my picture, I wonder, can you have a think about what the build up to the problem was? Can you remember? Yes, the balloon floated away because Pip and Posy were looking at the toys at the toy shop, and Pip lost his concentration and let go of the balloon. Then we move on to the third part of our boxing up map, and I can see this is the problem. So can you remember what the problem was again? Yes, the huge red balloon popped. How did it pop? Yes, it popped from on a branch of a tree. And they all said, oh dear. I remember us saying that all together, oh dear. Next, we move on to how the problem is fixed. We can see that poor Pip is feeling really miserable. He's really feeling really upset, really blue. But his lovely friend, Posy, had a fantastic idea. Can you remember what her fantastic idea was? Yes, it was for Pip and Posy to play with bubbles together. And she brought out bubbles from her bag. And then we move on to the ending of the story. And Pip and Posy are shouting, hooray! And they're playing in the park with their bubbles. So what we are going to do for our story, we are going to change the first toy in the book. We're going to change the huge red balloon to another toy, which Pip can show off and feel really proud of. But then the toy is going to break. That is the problem in our story. And then Posy has a fantastic idea, and she's not going to choose bubbles. She's going to choose another toy, which Pip and Posy can play with together in the park. So I have a picture from You Choose. In this book, I can see many different games and toys that the children are playing with in this book. So we are going to have to look at the pictures really closely. I can see that there is a boy playing with a red remote control car. That looks like fun. I can see that the two boys are playing with water pistols. I can see two children are playing chess. Chess is a board game which two players can play with, and they have different counters. One plays with the white counters, the other one plays with the black counters, and they take it in turns to have goes, and they try and get one of their pieces, which is called a king. Oh, I can see that somebody's playing with a telescope. I know in continuous provision, we have made telescopes before. What I need you to do is have a look at the pictures from the You Choose book. Then I need you to decide on two toys. Remember, the first toy is a toy that Pip is really proud of. And the second toy that we are going to change is that Posy decides that she has a bright idea and she thinks of another toy which they can both play with. So you can pause the video now and have a good look at the toys. Remember to ask your adult if there's any toys which you're unsure of, because I'm sure they will explain it to you. Okay, now you've had a good think about which toys to change in your story of Pip and Posy. I've had a think also, and I have decided that Pip is going to be really proud to show off a football. He's going to be really proud of this massive football, and he's going to show it to his lovely friend Posy. So I can see at the beginning of the story, I have changed it so Pip has his massive football. But then we need to think about what happens. There's a build up to the problem. Instead of the football floating away, because that can't happen because footballs don't float like red balloons, I have decided that it's going to roll away down a hill, and it's rolling so quickly that Pip and Posy have to run after it. They have to chase after it. Next, we move on to the problem of the story, where the toy of your choosing breaks. In the story, the big, huge red balloon pops on a branch of a tree. In my story, my massive football bursts on a sharp stone in the park, and it cannot be fixed. Next, we move on to how the problem is being fixed. So in the story, Pip and Posy and the red balloon, Posy has a fantastic idea that they can play with bubbles. In my story, I have decided that she is going to bring out 2 pairs of roller skates, one for Pip and one for herself, Posy. And she is going to play with those because Pip was feeling really sad, and we can think of more interesting words than sad, can't we? Pip was feeling really blue. Can you say that? Pip was feeling blue. Oh, and well done for pulling facial expressions as well with your miserable faces. He could be feeling unhappy. He could be feeling really glum, or he could be feeling really depressed. Now that is really upset. But then she pulls out these fantastic roller skates for them to play with, for a pair for both of them. And then we get to the last part of the story. And they are playing in the park, but in my story, they're rolling around in the skate park. And they're having so much fun. And just like the original story, they're going to shout, hooray! Okay. What you need to do is to retell the story. And remember that you need to change the toys in the story. So first of all, you need to change the toy that we first see in the beginning of the story, the toy that Pip is proud of. And remember, you can use the You Choose book. Then you need to change the toy which Posy brings out. So I changed mine to 2 pairs of roller skates, but you could change yours to something else. So if I had a look at my You Choose book again, they might decide to play a game of table tennis, because I know in my park they have table tennis courts which you can play with. And then you will need to draw an illustration. So I'm going to show you an illustration which I have drawn. These are my illustrations. So I have my writing paper here, and you could decide to draw pictures from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story, or you might decide that you want to draw all 5 parts to the story. It is totally up to you. I'm going to model drawing all 5 parts of the story. So first of all, we meet Pip the rabbit, and he's feeling really proud because he has his football. But you're going to change the toy that he plays with. Then the football rolls away. So I'm going to draw the ball rolling away, and I'm going to do an arrow pointing away, and it rolled down a hill. And then we get to the 3rd part of the story, which is the problem in the story. And in the book, Pip and Posy and the Red Balloon, the balloon pops, but in my story, my football pops on a stone. So that's my football and that's the stone. And then can you remember how the story is fixed? How does Posy help yes, she has a fantastic, bright idea, because Pip was feeling really miserable, wasn't he? He was feeling really miserable, really upset and glum. But then she had a fantastic idea that they could play with some roller skates. So I'm going to draw a picture, a quick picture of a pair of roller skates, one for him. And these are my wheels and laces, and a pair for her. Wheels, laces. And then finally, in the last part of the story, the ending of the story, they are feeling really happy. So I've got Pip feeling really happy again. And then I have Posy feeling really happy that she's helped her friend. Okay, you will need these illustrations for the writing tomorrow. But if you want to challenge yourself, you might want to also draw a front cover. So I've drawn a front cover here, Pip and Posy and the massive football. So I've written the title so everybody knows the name of my book. And also I've drawn some illustrations of the main characters. So I have Pip and Posy, and I've also written the author. So it's by Mrs. King. We can't wait to see your pictures. And remember, tomorrow is the last part of the Pip and Posy lessons, and we're just going to be writing some sentences about the story. Okay, goodbye.